Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, we're going to be talking about some final tips for my Volcano strategy guide. Tip number one is board E is your best board. Now, this is something that I talked about in our, I think it was video 4 of the guide where I talked about all the different boards. Board E is one of your best, and that is because you get to start in E5. And because you start in E5, you can easily access all 3 coastal lands, including your Blighted land. In addition, you're only 2 range away from your inland lands. You also can easily kill your coastal city or your inland town. Finally, it allows you to pair up your Dahan quite nicely so that you have 3 groups of 2 Dahan and 3 different lands. So board E is your best board. If Volcano is a spirit that you're struggling with, give board E a go. Play some games on board E until you get those the mechanics down and the gameplay pattern of Volcano, and then you can branch out to some of the other boards. But board E, it's very standard. Tip number 2: Earth is your most important element. Try to get the right innate every turn. And why is that important? That is because 3 Earth on the right innate allows you to restore one of your destroyed presence. And you guys know that I tend to favor those smaller eruption strategies. So being able to restore that presence every turn is key to keeping the volcano at a good height. Tip number 3 is the volcano land is a great dump land for control spirits. Spirits like Finder, Many Minds, River, these high control spirits, they may want to push or move invaders into your lands. So moving invaders into your volcano land is very efficient because you'll be killing invaders with your special rule where it says collapse in a blast of lava and steam. And when you use this special rule, you're going to kill invaders in that volcano land. A lot of times, this volcano land is clear, so it's just free damage whenever you erupt. Tip number 4: all because you kill Dahan doesn't mean you can't use Dahan. Remember, defend is king. You guys know how much I enjoy playing Dahan-based spirits, and Volcano is still a Dahan-based spirit. Now, you do have Pyroclastic Bombardment, you do have that special rule, and that explosive eruption left innate. Those are 3 ways that you kill Dahan. Now, you have plenty of drafts, so you can draft defend, and you also have Dahan movement via Rain of Ash. So drafting Dahan movement to, for instance, defend your E8 is very key, especially on boards where you can't reach those further lands. So like board E, you have those Dahan and E8, so you plan on getting a Dahan defend so that those Dahan can defend that land for you. Tip number 5: don't forget Volcanic peaks tower over the landscape. This is going to give +1 range from your Volcano land when you have 3 presence, and that is your 3rd special rule. And this is really important because it gives you that +1 range for all of your power cards. So Rain of Ash, which has 1 range, now becomes 2 range. Now, you do need that Volcano land to have 3 presence to get that extra range, but that's something that you'll be able to have on turn 2 with the build that I propose. In addition, that +1 range is really great on a lot of 0 cards. Quicken the Earth's Struggle. It's a 0 range, defend 10. Well, if your Volcano has 3 presence, now that has 1 range, and that if you're playing board E, that hits almost your whole board. Force of Living Obsidian, add a Badlands, push Dahan, and you get to do a ton of damage. It's 0 range, and that's the biggest weakness to this card. But oh wait, we're playing Volcano, and we get that +1 range, so. Tip number 6, always consider events, Blight cards that can add Blight or destroy presence. You tend to have a low number of presence. What do I mean by that? Well, whenever you erupt, you're destroying presence from your board, so you're going to have a small amount of presence. Now, there are going to be events and Blight cards that can destroy presence. A good example would be Self-Sacrifice Buys Time, where it says destroy 1 from each spirit. There's no playing around it, so if you're at 1 presence, this card gets flipped and you're blighted, you lose the game for the whole team. So as the Volcano player, 1, you have to be playing around these cards. This is just one example, but there are also cards like if, This is the card I was looking for, but we ended up getting everything spread out for us. But Remnants, it says 1,000 small struggles. At the very bottom, it says on each board with 4 more buildings or 4 or fewer Dahan. Now, because we are well, we're not really a Dahan spirit, but since we're killing Dahan, we're going to very likely reach that or go underneath that threshold. And if that happens, you have to add a Blight instantly. So there's a lot of things that will punish you if you run out of presence. I guess this technically doesn't punish you. Where did it go? Well, it's gone now. But if there are multiple lands with Blight, you might have to Blight your Volcano land, which would kill a presence, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. So playing around those events, playing around those Blighted cards, a good Blighted card would be Erosion of Will, where it just automatically destroys a presence. So be vocal, tell your team when you're going to be erupting down to 1 presence so that you don't just shock them because one of the players is taking 3 Blight, you flip the Blight card, and then you get the whole team gets blindsided and you guys lose. So be vocal when you go down to 1 presence. Tip number 7, don't be afraid to gain majors while placing presence from bottom track. You have loads of energy. And this is something that I covered in the opening guide, but because of your G1 and your G3, you're gaining so much energy. G1 is giving you 3 energy a turn. G3 is giving you +2. You're also getting 2 energy from top track, and you're gaining energy from your Exaltation of Molten Stone. You have plenty of energy. Don't be afraid to grab majors. One of the mistakes that a lot of players make is they think they need like 4 or 5 energy to grab majors, and that's just not the case. Really, you only need 2 or 3. Just refreshing one of the concepts I talked about earlier in my videos, and that's that concept of 3-3. And that concept states that if you have 3 energy a turn and 3 card plays a turn, you can threshold most majors in the game and you can utilize them every turn. Tip number 8, smaller eruptions lead to more consistent results than larger ones. And this is probably the one comment that I'll probably get a little bit of hate for, but I'm all about efficiency, and these bottom 2 tiers of this left innate just don't have text, especially this last one. It's every time I see this go off, it's a complete nightmare. The Volcano board is on flames, Blight everywhere. Just never do that 10 eruption. The 6 eruption sometimes works, but I find it's very inconsistent and tends to Blight a lot more than just playing the opening that I presented in the opening guide. Tip number 9, don't be afraid to play off element. Remember, the bottom track has a fire and earth, which means you're likely to hit that right innate by playing 1 card a turn. Well, actually, it's 2 cards a turn for the right innate. 1 card a turn for that left innate. And just to refresh, here's that fire earth on bottom track. So if we play 1 other fire earth, we hit that innate. If we play 3 earth, so another earth card, we're going to hit that right innate. So if you have 3 card plays, you can then play any card. And so like we do these 2 cards plus any other card, and you're golden. So a lot of times you'll see Volcano players, they'll be playing like Twin Days. They might play a card like a Blight removal card to remove Blight from a land they can't deal with, stuff like that. Tip number 10, Badlands can only affect an action once. This is a mistake I see a lot of players make. If we have a card like Pyroclastic Bombardment and it says you deal 1 damage to all buildings, 1 damage, and then 1 damage to Dahan. If you have a Badlands in that land, you get to do +1 damage total for the entire card. So I can either choose to do +1 damage on the first line of text, the second line of text, or the third line of text. Okay, it doesn't affect all 3 lines. It doesn't do 2 damage to all buildings. So that's a mistake that a lot of players they think when they see Badlands. So if you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I'll be having some Volcano videos showcasing the strategy in the future.